So the love that Yitzchak had for Esav is kind of the special love a parent might have for a disabled or handicapped child. The sense that Esav is powerful and Esav is hardly handicapped in a physical sense. But spiritually, he's a cripple. And because spiritually he's a cripple, I want to give him a way to make it in the world, in the spiritual world. So Yitzchak had a cheshbon. The problem was, Rivka understood that Esav would not utilize the bracha in a good way, so she had to take it away, so to speak. But that's what's going on. The love Yitzchak had for Esav was the compassion for a person who apparently was not exhibiting any type of spiritual nature. But Yitzchak wanted him to have something in Ruchnius.
And Rivka didn't?
Rivka did all. Well, Rivka in theory would have wanted it also. But Rivka realized that whatever gifts he would be given, he would not use them in a proper way. As Yitzchak envisioned, the way the Malbim explains it, Yitzchak envisioned a Sachar Zevulun partnership, in the sense that Yaakov would be the spiritual one who learns all day, and Esav would build the cities and make the deals, and he would use his resources to help Yaakov, and therefore everybody's benefiting. Yaakov is freed of the burdens of society, and Esav is building Torah. That was Yitzchak's dream. Rivka was a realist. Rivka understood that Esav would not use his resources in that way. It's a very tragic situation. So you have to understand. In fact, it's an interesting thing. There's an interesting, not a medrash, it's a Hasidic word. If you look at the bracha that Yaakov thought he was giving, that Yitzchak thought he was giving Esav, he mentions Beni, my son, 7 times. 7 times. So there's a Rebbe who draws a comparison to David HaMelech. When David HaMelech's son Avshalom was killed, so David cried very much by his own general. David cried and he said, Avshalom my son, Avshalom my son, Avshalom my son, I wish I could die instead of you. And Chazal point out that David HaMelech mentioned it 8 times, because each time he wanted to bring Avshalom up there are 7 levels of Gehinnom. So the first 7 times, he brought him up from Gehinnom, and the 8th time he brought him to Olam Haba. So this Rebbe wants to say, with Yaakov was 8 times as well, that the 8 times is, he wants to bring Esav up from the 7 levels of Gehinnom and bring him to Olam Haba. Just as an aside, if you go to the Kidron Valley, between the old city and the Mount of Olives, Har HaZeisim, right, there's a valley. So you'll see some monuments in the valley. And there's a monument there that is called Yad Avshalom, the monument of Avshalom. Now the truth of the matter is, it probably is not the monument of Avshalom. I think it dates from the Crusaders' time. But whatever it is, some people have a shita that this was a memorial of Avshalom, for Avshalom, who was David's rebellious son, who wanted to kill his father, who was killed by David's general Yoav. So we don't regard that as a holy place. We don't go there to daven. But there was one person who used to daven by the craziest place. He used to daven by Yad Avshalom. This was Rav Chaim Shmulevitz. Why would he daven by Yad Avshalom? I mean, he's near the Kosel. He can go to the Kosel and daven. Because he said, he was very moved. He says, this whole story of Avshalom tells you the love of a father for a son, even when a son is totally unworthy. And even when a son wanted to kill his father. Avshalom would have killed David. And Rav Chaim used to say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're your children. We're not always faithful to you. We don't deserve it. But look at how David HaMelech prayed for his son Avshalom to come out of Gehinnom and get Olam Haba. Can't you look at us the same way? This is Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, in which he saw in Yad Avshalom a tremendous way of praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yeah.
Actually, speaking about